Now, with an amazing 2 opening talks that started, if you really look at what we have moving forward, we have 3 segments: sales, leadership, and management. So the summit has something for everybody, and it's fantastic. Now, today, in the next 45 minutes, I'd like to take a look at and share with you a passion that I have, which is how do we look at individuals who are ordinary Joes, ordinary Marys, people who are just a run-of-the-mill, and why do some choose to be extraordinary and others choose to maintain of just being ordinary? So what separates those individuals from being ordinary or extraordinary? What separates the difference? We have some individuals who will constantly climb, perseverance, guts, grit. No matter what they're doing and the level of success that they have, they keep climbing that mountain. And then there's others of us that we may find ourselves having that grit and that tenacity until we hit a certain level of success. And the second we hit that level of success, we camp. And our motivation to grow turns into a motivation to protect what we built. And then we have another group of individuals that will actually look at success and say, man, that's a hard, hard, hard mountain to climb. I'm going to hang out here for a little while and see what happens. And when other people become successful, they want the fruit of those labors, they just don't want to put the effort into it. And I'm sure you have friends or families or people that you know that when you look at them, they're still growing and they're still becoming better, but you have other individuals who have what it takes, but they choose not to capitalize on it. So what really makes the difference between success and those who choose not to have it? So we did a little investigating. We look at things like school, for instance. Well, that kind of makes a lot of logical sense, right? We all in this room want to send our children to the best schools possible. The better school they go to, the more successful they can become. As a matter of fact, some of us are also proud of badge of honor, and we actually throw the schools they go on to on our back bumpers. So we want to have them go to a good school. Good school, good success. You spend tens of thousands of dollars on sending them to private schools versus state schools. Maybe, and even at a high school level, you're sending your kid to private schools, not to the public school, because we want them to have a better edge. There may be even some of you in here, I know it happens in New York City all the time, spending tens of thousands of dollars to send your 4-year-old, right, to pre-K, to make sure they got an edge. So, is it schooling? Kind of makes sense. Then we take a look at grades. We gotta have good grades. That's what makes us successful. If you get an A, it's better than a B. B people will always be better than C's. That's what we tell our kids. SATs, get good grades, better school, better level of success. It kind of makes sense then that we follow the bouncing ball and turn around and say, what about IQ? The more intelligent you are, the better possibility of being successful you have. It has to be intelligence. So when we start peeling back the onion, let's take a look at some of the statistics that come back and say what does make success, because maybe it's luck. So what we found is some interesting stuff. The first is the labor of statistics will turn around and tell us that the school that you choose to go to, the reputation of the school has no bearing on your financial outcome. Now that's a shock to some of us who have 2 or 3 kids in school that we're trying to put them into the best school to have the best opportunities afterwards. Then all of a sudden, CNBC did a study that said entrepreneurials, that more entrepreneurials either didn't go to school or quit than those that graduated. And by the way, that's gender indifferent. And this is the one I think is even staggering than most, and that's the reason my kids are not watching this right now and streaming, because everything would be debunked that I told them, which is, it's true for me, but not for them, which is millionaires, self-made millionaires. More self-made millionaires are B students than A's. Look at it, 41% are B students. How the heck can we turn around and tell our kids, hey, go be a good C student? If you're a solid C student, you can be probably more successful on being a multimillionaire than if you're an A student. Wow, right? How can that possibly be true? So if it's not schooling, if it's not your education, what is it? So Carnegie will turn around and tell us that for financial success, 85% of your ability to be successful comes from your people skills, and only 15% comes from your technical knowledge. Yet where do we spend all our time and energy and money? On developing technical information. So if it's not that, what is success? If we don't have the capacity to say it's school or education or good grades, what makes success? If you've heard me speak in the past, you probably know that I love No Guts, No Gain, that program. The No Guts, No Gain program, we can easily go into the elements of success and the barriers of success. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, please write it down and go find your coach and say, what is he talking about No Guts, No Gain? It's the best, I think, one of the best things that Sandler has ever created. It's all about inside the skin. We could also take a look at success maybe through the lens of IR. We could take a look at it and say, well, what are the characteristics of at-leasters? What are the characteristics of winners? Why do at-leasters do what they do, and why do winners do what they do? We could do that too, that's for sure. But for today, I want to take a little different twist. We're going to take a look at these paths through the eyes of a PhD who's out in Stanford. Her name is Carol DeWick. Her mindset, as we live in Sandler, we say success is three-legged stool, right? Attitude, behavior, technique. You got to know the tactics and strategies to be successful, to dominate. You got to know that. You also have to have the behavior to be consistently in front of the right number of people you need to use your tactics and strategies. But we also have to know that our attitude drives our behavior. But Carol, we focus on three. Carol's mindset is, let's focus on one, which is attitude. So when we look at attitude, in her mind, there's two pieces, growth and fixed. And a growth mindset is exactly what it seems to say. A growth mindset person believes with effort, time, knowledge, and continuous effort, we all can be better. So a growth mindset person it's about growth. And I believe I can be better. I just got to pay the ferryman to do it. That's energy and effort. A fixed mindset individual believes exactly what the term says, that where they are is where they are. This is my lot in life. So if this is my lot in life, and this is where I'm going to be, does it really make sense to push harder to get outside of it? And they start to justify why it makes sense to stay where they are. So I want to bring you on a quick little journey on using those two different mindsets, using those two different brain pieces, because I work with entrepreneurs, and I just love part of my practice, which is the coaching of taking in individuals who are starting off a new business and going from to the first million or second or third million. So much awesome growth is done at that point. If any of you are in a multi-million-dollar business, you know that first couple million, whoo, a lot of growth. Whole bunch of different growth happens to 8 to 10 million. Different stuff needs to be put in place to your 15 to 20 and so on. But when I take a look at these individuals, I found that by no means is this all inclusive, but I found some patterns of consistency. And what I want to do is share them with you. And as I start to share them with you, you may want to take stock in your own world and say, all right, how do I fit in that world? How do I actually view the world through these mindsets? So the first one I want to share with you is going to be vision. Now, I don't think anyone in this room is going to discount the fact that vision is massively important. We got to have vision. But you realize, and here's some statistics if you want to get blown away, 80% of the people actually get up, go to work, come home, eat, play with the kids, repeat. 80% of the people walking planet Earth have no goals. They have no desire to get better than what they're doing. 16% of the population have a concept of what they want, an idea of goals. Yet less than 4% actually have them written down. And less than 1% actually look at it, review it, and stay tracked on it. Less than 1%. So are you part of the 80 or the 16 that hope? Or are you more like the one that does? And by the way, statistically, here's another scary number. The people at 16% that have a concept of what they want in life, and you took a look at the person that's the 1% club, that has it written, has a plan, and they review it. Do you realize the 1% club out-earns the 16% club by 9 times? That's a staggering number. Their earnings, their lifetime earnings, are 9 times greater than the 16% club. So I don't think anyone's going to discount the importance of really having a strong vision. Now, you've heard 2 phenomenal speakers before, right? Unbelievable people come up with great content. But when we look at this thing, this crazy piece of vision, vision really is your why and your what. And I have found that most of the successful people I have, they have absolutely insane clarity on 2 or 3 driving forces. Now, most of us in this room would turn around and say, hey, we need to have the capacity to have a plan. What's the activities? We know cookbooking, right? What's our sequential steps? What's the process? What are our behaviors? Who has to do what, when, how, and when? That's easy. That's tracking it. But not all super successful people have plans that they track. Some have a belly button. So when we took a look at this clarity that they had to have, it's intense. And they live by a simple rule that you may want to write down in your notes. It's up to you. Their belief is this: I am willing to do whatever it takes to achieve that objective. On your notes, it's called commitment. I am willing to do whatever it takes. Legally, morally, and ethically, of course. Right? Just because I'm in New York, don't think I forget those 3 things. So, right, do everything and anything you can to make sure that you're going to get to the end result. And people with great vision, they have the capacity to be better decision makers. And I call it WIMP Junction. WIMP Junction is, you probably have 100 to 200 of these every day. WIMP Junction is when you have the capacity and you have a choice that where you are right now, I can either choose to stay on the path that I'm supposed to. May not be easy, but I'm going to stay the path that I'm supposed to. That's my plan. Or I can choose to wimp out and go a little safer. I can go to the opposite side and protect and not do what I'm supposed to do. And that decision right there is called WIMP Junction. That decision is actually what separates many of us from being good from great. And what helps us with that decision is how strong you believe in your vision.